Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday the 24th of February 2019. And at last we have managed to track down Brother Anthony from his globe-trotting property adventures. The purpose of this video is to discuss with Brother Anthony what he's been up to and what is generally happening in the property market in 2019 and beyond. Brother Anthony, welcome. The last time we conducted an interview, believe it or not, was in December 2015, some 3 years ago. What the devil have you been up to over what we thought was going to be a relatively short period?
Well, Illuminati, since December 15, a lot of things have happened in the world. We've got Brexit in Britain, we've had wars in Syria, we've had all sorts of crises with Russian planes being shot over Syria by the Turkish Air Force. The world has been in turmoil. During that time, obviously you've seen yourself how silver and gold prices have gone up and down. Back in 2015, December, if I remember off the top of my head, the Turkish lira was about $1 US dollar would get you 3 Turkish lira. It peaked last August around about 7 Turkish lira, and it currently stands at 5 Turkish lira. In sterling, a pound peaked at 9 and is down to about 7 or 8 at the moment, depending on where you go for the currency. It's still a good investment, obviously, with the devaluation of the lira against major currencies. So you can still get a bargain, but with the economic outlook there and the uncertainty and the president being a bit more hardline Muslim, it's not really something I could actually tell our subscribers to invest in at the moment. As such, I moved back to the UK. I've done a bit of work in the UK, where the house prices, even with Brexit, forecast to go up over the next 5 years by about 20%. Less in London. There's been a drop in London recently, so you'll probably find it will stabilise over the next 5 years, depending what happens as a result of Brexit.
So basically then, your Turkish sort of ambitions have now waned. Mainly what you're saying is because, A, the political developments there, which have then permeated through into the economy. Is that right? Yeah,
there's a lot of nervousness in the UK with dealing in Turkey. You still can get British companies offering finance, but most of the finance now is geared towards Spain and France. But again, with Brexit looming, people not knowing how status of European peoples in other countries is going to pan out, I wouldn't advise anybody to rush into anything on the continent. As I say, as a result, I've concentrated in the UK, and I've set my mind more to how I can save money on my developments so that I can get more profit. Now, one thing that has come to my attention are the auction houses in the UK, which I'm sure they have similar in America, where you can get fantastic deals on top quality products to put into a house. So you can actually make £100,000 or $100,000 build look like $180,000 just by what you put into it.
Can you give us an example of what you mean by that? When you say products, what are you talking about?
Okay, well, I'm going to talk in sterling because that's what I purchase in.
Okay.
For example, we've got a development of 9 properties at the moment. So obviously in 9 properties, you're going to need 9 bathrooms. Possibly 18 if you put in 2 bathrooms in each property, which is we tend to do, an ensuite and a family bathroom. The average bath, a decent bath in the UK, costs around about £180. If I could tell you from one auction, I was buying these £180 baths for £2 each.
Seriously?
So you can imagine the saving.
For £2? So where's the catch there? That's not including the taps and things like that?
It wasn't including the taps, it wasn't including the VAT.
Right.
So they actually cost me £3 in total, but obviously, being VAT registered, I could claim the VAT back.
Right.
So essentially, they cost me £2. Tiles,
and these are perfect condition?
Perfect condition.
Right.
Tiles, I can buy tiles that normally sell for £30–40 a square metre,
yes,
for £6 or £7 a square metre.
Wow.
And the overall savings are fantastic, and that's what you've got to look at. I can afford now to put top quality finishes on properties at budget prices. as such, when the valuers come round to value it, or if you come to sell it, you get top dollar and you get a wow factor.
What do you think has caused that then? How come these things are now so available so cheaply?
The internet. These items are coming from shops that have closed down, had to close down because of the migration from shops to internet buying. I think is it Tandy, which is the electric company?
Yes.
Now they went down, and a lot of their items were available very cheap at auction. If you were in the market for drones and metal detectors,
right.
With more and more, and obviously the advent of the internet and people buying online, with more and more people buying online, unfortunately, it's meant a different demographic for shopping.
Yes.
Shops have had to close down, warehouses have had to close down, because people were going there, looking at the goods, then going online, buying them, and having them delivered cheaper. So common sense says you go where it's cheaper.
So these businesses have either closed down or been repossessed, and their items taken to auction for sale, basically.
Exactly. And if you look around, you can literally find anything. We find white goods, we find fridge freezers that retail for £700 that we get for £40. You can get cookers, everything you want, radiators, whatever you want, you can source it. Now, obviously, depending where it is in the UK and what the transport costs are, you've got to take a view on it. But when you're kitting out 9 houses at a time, you don't mind travelling 100 miles to save £2,000, £3,000, £4,000.
Now, we're all aware, and let's link this to the UK for the moment, but it does apply in the US and other countries as well, but in certain states, perhaps not all of them. We have areas where there are a shortage of houses, certainly compared to the potential demand. One of the problems, of course, has been the recent rise in house prices, because they have certainly recovered in most areas compared to the 2008 crash, but also because of the birth rate has outgrown the actual building rate. Now, the question I have for you really is, how do you find these properties to develop? Because I'm assuming you're buying them cheap in the first place, then buying goods at knockdown prices to improve them, and then you're either renting them or selling them on. How do you find these properties? Where can the budding property entrepreneur sort of look for these so-called bargains?
We've got a mixture of developments. We've got new builds where we buy land that we think we're going to get planning permission on, apply for planning, then obviously build from ground up.
Right. Is that risky though?
It's not as risky as buying an older development that you're converting. With a new build, what you see is what you get and you're building it.
Right.
With perhaps an office block that you're converting into apartments, until you knock down some walls, you just don't know what you're going to come up against.
Right.
You can take a view, but you've always got to look at the worst case scenario. But on top of that, we look at houses that are already built, that are being sold off. A lot of them are sold off by local authorities, housing associations. For example, there's a housing association locally that owned 120 houses.
Yes.
But they were all around the country.
Right.
And they were finding it wasn't economic going there to do the repairs, to collect the rent, to see the tenants. So what they did, they sold off all those houses and built a large development close to where they were based.
Now, for the benefit of those outside the United Kingdom, what do you mean by housing association? What is a housing association?
A housing association is a non-government organisation that helps supply housing for low-income people.
Right.
Whether they be unemployed, whether they be disabled, or whether they be on a low income. They then rent to them for a certain period of time or until they leave, and they get a preferential interest rate on money they borrow in order to finance the properties.
So when they sell these properties to people like you, are you then turfing the residents out on the street?
No, that the residents have already left.
Oh, right. I just wanted to check on that, that's all.
I'm not sure what the housing association's done with them, but the residents have certainly left, and obviously we're left with an empty house, so that on completion there aren't any problems. We picked up one recently for £40,000.
Yes.
We spent about £10,000 on it.
Yes.
And it valued up at £90,000.
Really?
So
you now got the choice of selling it, remortgaging it, so you get your initial investment back, and then you have the surplus remortgage to spend on another development. Is that right?
Correct. In this instance, we remortgaged it and rented it out.
Okay, so you can obtain rental income as well.
Correct. So we remortgaged it for £65,000, and we're getting £595 a month rent.
Right. So and what's the mortgage costing approximately?
About £240 a month.
Right. So you're making how much?
Well, we're making a few £100 a month, but we've had our money back.
Yes. So you've had your money back and you're making a few £100
Correct.
a month.
So you've got nothing left invested in it. So your return on investment is, well.
But this sounds like it's too easy. What you're saying, you buy cheap property, put in low, high quality goods, but if you've bought them at low prices, and then you're either renting or selling those properties. If I was listening to this, I'd be thinking, hang on, this sounds too good to be true. How is it achieved?
Well, you can't just walk in and do it. You've got to do your due diligence.
Yes.
It helps if you've got a builder or a surveyor that you're close to can come and give it the once over.
Yes.
We have a problem in our area of Japanese knotweed.
All right.
Japanese knotweed is an invasive plant that can actually grow through concrete and upset foundations and the actual structure of the property.
Right.
Properties with Japanese knotweed are, to all intents and purposes, unmortgageable. You can't finance them.
Right.
So as a result, they go cheap. Now, as long as you don't mind not being able to get your investment out and you're purely going on rental income,
yes,
they're a good investment.
Right.
There are companies that say that they can get rid of Japanese knotweed on a 3-year treatment. We're yet to be convinced that it's 100% clear. But once you've got proof of the treatment, mortgage companies are more likely to give you finance.
I'm going to put you on the hop here. Yes, indeed, we did put Brother Anthony on the hop by asking him a question he was not expecting. However, as this interview lasted some 30 minutes, we thought this was an appropriate time in which to stop it. And we shall therefore publish the second part of this interview tomorrow, during which time we will discuss government regulations and how they affect property developers or restrict property developers. We shall also look at why property should be part of a wider investment portfolio and shall be asking Brother Anthony his views on this. And we shall be further addressing the effect of property on the economics of a country or state and how that in turn can affect currency and gold and silver prices. We shall investigate further with Brother Anthony some of his international developments and also his property investment plan. You'll find it, we hope, quite interesting. And it's certainly more boisterous than the first interview. So please tune in again tomorrow, being Monday the 25th of February, where we shall publish part 2. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.